Kalos, Boker Or, Shavua Tov, Bekiim Bahalacha, day 30. We are in Siman Mem Zayin, Halacha Kaf, okay, which is the 20th Halacha. Okay, what does a convert do with the bracha of Birkat Torah? If you remember, we spoke about a convert to do with Shelo Asani Goy, and now we're going to speak about the entire concept of Birkat Torah. Now, why? So he says here, a convert to Judaism is going to recite the exact same text for Birkat Torah, even though it says, Asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim v'natalanu et Torato, that he chose us from amongst all nations and he gave us the Torah. He does not make any changes whatsoever. Meaning, you would have thought to say, listen, if you're going to say Asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim, he chose us from all the nations, the guy wasn't born Jewish, therefore he wasn't that he was chosen. So, 82, footnote. A convert named Ovadia asked the Rambam what text should he say when he's going to pray or recite the different brachot, whether it's in private or as a shliach tzibur in the synagogue. He wondered whether he was permitted to use an expression like our God, God of our fathers, was at the end of the day, Elokeinu, Elokevotenu, say, can he say that? Or who sang the Shek L'Shem Mitzvotav Tzivanu, he didn't sanctify us with his commandments. Or Shebacharbanu Mikol Ha'amim, he chose us, or all these things, you brought us out of Egypt. Now, all these phrases, perhaps Ovadia thought that he made his own choice to become Jewish and to be distinguished from other nations. It was not Hashem who chose him, and he was not a descendant of the ancestors of Jews. So the Rambam replied in the response that you must recite all the prayers exactly as they are. Do not make any changes whatsoever. Your blessings and prayers are identical to those of Jews. Anyone who converts to Judaism at any time in our history is considered a disciple of Abraham Avinu, and Abraham is considered the father of all the Jews, or all the people that all follow in his way. That's why, by the way, we actually call again. Again is Ben Abraham, Ben Abraham Avinu, right? There's a Batzara, right? Ben Abraham, right? He is the father of his disciples, and that includes what? Disciples. Okay, and that includes anyone who converts to Judaism. Therefore, you should say, our God and the God of our fathers, based on the fact that Abraham Avinu is also like your father. Excuse me. Likewise, you should say, you bequeath to our ancestors, since the land was given to Abraham, as the pasuk says, which means get up and walk, right, to the length and everything. Why? Because I'm going to give it to you. Moreover, all the miracles that were wrought on behalf of the nation of Israel throughout the history are considered been wrought on you, on your behalf, together with the rest of the Jews. Without a shadow of a doubt, you must recite the berachot Asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim, and Asher natalanu, and Asher inchilanu, and Asher ivdilanu, meaning all these different languages about separating us from other nations. And the Creator has chosen you and separated you from the nations as well. And He has given you the Torah, for it was given to all of us and all those that convert to Judaism. Just like it says, right? Right? What does that mean? That means basically we're saying that it's going to be for all the converts who also live amongst you. This is at the end of Parashat Bo that we just had. Okay? And therefore it should be identical for you and for those that convert before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You and the convert who lives amongst the Jews, right, have the Torah and one statute. Okay? So it's going to be very, very important. Next halacha. Birkat Torah and the blessing of Ahavat Olam. So if you remember, we spoke about this already. That what happens if a person did not say Birkat Shachar or Birkat Torah before Shachrit? You remember, we spoke about this halacha as well. So now we're talking about the blessing of Ahavat Olam. The blessing of Ahavat Olam, number 21, right, that we just recited before Shema, can substitute for the blessing over the mitzvah of Torah study, providing that the person actually studies Torah immediately afterward without interrupting with other speech. This is because the content of the blessing is very similar to the blessings of the Torah, and it includes a plea. So at times that we're learning all these things. Okay, place wisdom in our hearts to be able to understand, fathom, hear, learn, teach, observe, perform, and fulfill every word of the Torah study with love. Even if someone did not have any intentions to fulfill his obligation reciting the blessing over the Torah, when he recited the blessing of Ahavat Olam, it automatically counts as such, and be reciting it fulfills his obligation for reciting the blessings over the Torah study. Therefore, If someone forgot to say Birkat Torah before Shachrit, he may not say them afterwards Shachrit, since he's already fulfilled his obligation by saying Ahavat Olam. And likewise, if someone became obligated to say the Beracha for Torah study at nighttime because he napped in the bed in the early evening and he prayed Avi before saying the right before doing that, he's already fulfilled his obligation by saying the Ahavat Olam before the Shema. See below in Halacha 24 details of this halacha, right, including the condition, right, stating that the blessing of Ahavat Olam counts as blessing over the mitzvot Torah study. Only the person actually says some words of Torah immediately after completing the Amidah. Footnote number 83. This is the ruling, both of the Mishnah Berurah and the Rishon LeZion. The Mishnah Berurah quotes Rabbeinu Asher Rosh as the source for this ruling, and he pointed out that it appears from the commentary of Rabbeinu disciples that one cannot fulfill the obligation of those blessings unless one specifically intended to fulfill it when we're saying Ahavat Olam. Meaning, according to them, if you don't have a kavanah, meaning the intention to fulfill, you're not going to say Birkat Torah. But the Rishon LeZion comes and he says, right, countered that the blessing of Ahavat Olam is inherently a blessing over the mitzvah of Torah study, and therefore one automatically fulfills obligation. And this is a position of several Acharonim as well. Meaning, according to them, even with that, you don't have to do L'Shem Yichud B'Shar Yichud. No, I'm doing automatically. You said Ahavat Olam, you just did Birkat Torah. Okay, that's why it's important to do Birkat Torah before Shachrit, obviously, because if not, then you lost out on Birkat HaTorah. Okay, with specific intention, not to. What happens if you do the opposite? Meaning, not that you have the intention or not the intention, and intention stam. Intention stam means I'm just reading the beracha. What's your intention? I'm reading a beracha. No, what happens if I have the intention not to fulfill my obligation, Birkat Torah? Meaning that's called a kavanah negdi, a kavanah which is the opposite. So he says the Pri Megadim rule that if someone has specific intentions not to fulfill his obligation, reciting the Ahavat Olam, he must recite the blessings of a Torah study after his prayers. The Magen Giburim concur with this ruling, and in fact advise anyone who must hurry to pray with the congregation without first reciting the blessings of the Torah, that he should do this, right? And therefore he says in that way he will be able to recite the berachot afterwards. The Rishon LeZion counter that if someone would follow that strategy, he might be guilty of saying a berachal vatala, and therefore he shouldn't do it whatsoever. Okay, he brought down from his word short, and he says strictly in these cases, which means don't try playing around with this, because if not, it's problems of bracha shenetzicha or things like that, and therefore don't do that. Meaning don't say, bechavana, I don't want to be tzechova, and therefore I could make another bracha afterwards and be cut to Torah. Don't do that. Okay, halacha number 22. If someone began shachrit and he realized only if he was in the middle of Psukei Zimra. So imagine he's in the middle of Ashrei Yoshev Vetecha. He says, "Oh, Birkat Torah." He just remembered, right? So he said he should interrupt his prayers and recite Asher Bachabanu, and then continue with the rest of Psukei Zimra. This blessing has preference because the Talmud describes it as the best of all blessings. After saying the beracha of Yishtabach, then he's going to make the other beracha of Al Divrei Torah V'Arevna and the Birkat Kohanim before continuing with Yotzer. You understood something incredible. Listen carefully. One more time. He's in the middle of Psukei Zimra. So I forgot Birkat Torah. He can't do all of Birkat Torah now. All he does is Asher B'Chaban V'Kolamim Natan Baruch Hashem Noter Torah. That's it. He doesn't even do Birkat Kohanim. Nothing. After Yishtabach, right before Yotzer, now he does the bracha of Al Divrei Torah. Baruch Atah Hashem Al Divrei Torah. V'harevna Hashem Elokeinu Divrei Torah. And then Birkat Kohanim. That's what he does. Right? Why? Because of this. So this is number 84. This is the ruling of the Halacha Berurah. See the discussion of Tzot Yosef. According to the Mishnah Berurah, one may recite all the blessings, right, in the middle of Psukei Zimra. Meaning, according to the Mishnah Berurah, you say everything in the middle of Psukei Zimra. But according to the Halacha Berurah, no, you only do Asher B'Chabanu. And then the other ones, you only do it at the after Yishtabach, before Yotzer.